Like, hey everybody, it's Shaggy, friend Scooby Doo, asking you to like, comment, and subscribe to Sephira and Jayko, where we Scooby Snacks.
Hi everyone, this is Sephira.
And I'm Jayko.
In honor of Scooby Doo's 50th anniversary, we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 Scooby Doo villains. For this list, we'll be doing some of the most iconic villains of the franchise. Also, this list will be made up of classic villains from Scooby Doo Where Are You? And the 1976 Scooby Doo show. So don't expect to see villains from What's New and Mystery incorporated on this list. Number 10, the Spooky Space Kook, aka Henry Bascom.
What makes this monster so iconic is his skull face and his spooky laugh. The same one used by the Phantom of Vasquez Castle, mind you. In reality, the spooky space kook was actually a farmer named Henry Bascom. When Henry learned that the Earth would be reopening an old nearby Earth he owned and would be needing more land for jets, he dreamed up the space kook to scare everybody else out of the area so he could pick up the land cheap and sell it to the Earth, also a great deal of cash. In the end, Scooby-Doo and the gang trapped him in a wind tunnel where they ended up blowing his whole costume off. Number 9, the 10,000 volt ghost, aka Mr. Voltner.
Mr. Voltner was once the head electrician for Winter Haven's power company. While trying to fix a downed power line during a snowstorm, Voltner mysteriously vanished, leaving only his helmet behind. He'd returned shortly afterwards in the form of the 10,000 volt ghost, a being made of electricity capable of melting metal. Mystery Inc. later discovered that Voltner was posing as his own ghost under orders of Mayor Dudley in order to scare everyone away in order to sell the land to a construction crew that was bringing a freeway through the area. Number 8, the Ghost of Redbeard, aka C.L. Magnus.
Mr. Magnus was about to lose his shipping line unless he came up with a lot of money, fast. So, he posed as the Ghost of Redbeard along with 2 hired henchmen as his crewmen so they could hijack his own ships and sell the cargo on the black market. He also came up with the story of Redbeard seeking revenge on Magnus for what his ancestors did to him. The ghosts even included the ghost sword operated by wire and spooky fog made by dropping dry ice into the water. Unfortunately for Mr. Magnus, he and his goons would end up being captured by Scooby Doo and friends. Number 7, the Giggling Green Ghosts / the Phantom Shadows, aka Cosgood Creeps and Cuthbert Crawls.
In order to inherit $1 million from Colonel Sanders, Scooby, having saved his life years ago, and the Colonel's 4 relatives had to spend the night in a haunted mansion. The Colonel's relatives were quickly scared off by the Green Ghost, leaving Scooby and the gang to deal with this giggling, gruesome twosome. After trapping them in a washing machine, the Green Ghosts were revealed to be Colonel Sanders' lawyers, Mr. Creeps and Mr. Crawls. Their plan was to scare Scooby and the Colonel's relatives away, preventing anyone from spending the night, allowing them to keep the fortune. Since the money was all in Confederate cash, Creeps and Crawls most likely knew it was worthless in terms of spending, and were planning to sell it to a collector or a museum for a lot of cash. Number 6, the Pterodactyl Ghost, aka Johnny the Caterer.
This prehistoric poltergeist represents one of Shaggy and Scooby's greatest fears: heights! Scooby and the gang met this flying fright at Big Canyon Dude Ranch, where a hang gliding contest was being held. After trapping the pterodactyl ghost to a rubber raft, he was revealed to be Johnny, owner of a catering truck, which was a cover for Mr. Bohannon's pirated music ring. They were using nearby caves as a base of operations to steal songs off the airways and sell them on bootleg cassettes and records. Johnny mainly poses the pterodactyl ghost to make sure no one discovered their operation. Number 5, Old Ironface, aka Mama Mione.
Using her cafe on the mainland as a cover, Mama Mione transported escaped criminals in torpedoes she designed to look like sharks in and out of her fancy hideaway under Skull Island prison. Using her skills as a champion water skier, she would ride the torpedoes while dressed up as Old Ironface, a pirate that was once imprisoned on Skull Island, who gets his name from the metal mask that was welded onto him by order of the warden because of how mean he was. When Mama Mione learned that Captain Morgan was planning to give tours to Skull Island, she kidnapped him after sinking his boat out of fear of him discovering her hideaway. This led to Scooby and friends coming to the island where they captured the metal-faced pirate, putting an end to her scheme. Number 4, the Creeper, aka Mr. Carswell.
Since he was the last person to leave the bank every day, Mr. Carswell would fill his briefcase with money, relock the safe, and leave the bank as usual. To cover his tracks, he would return at night, disguised as the Creeper, make everyone think the bank was being robbed by a phantom that could walk through walls. However, when Carswell learned that an infrared camera set up by one of his bank guards had taken a picture of him robbing his own bank, he went after the guard to get the picture and silence him. After the gang told him about a blank piece of paper they got from the guard, he realized it was the picture, and dressed up as the creeper to get it from them. After a long chase, Scooby trapped the horrible hunchback in a hay bale, and later, Velmy used the match to reveal the picture of his crime. Blasted meddling kids! Number 3. Jaguaro, aka Barney.
This hideous creature with the body of a gorilla and the head of a saber-toothed cat was worshipped by a tribe of Amazonian headhunters in Brazil. The statue they made in its image came to life when the plane taking Mystery Inc. to Rio made an emergency landing in the Amazon jungle. This led to the beast chasing Shaggy and Scooby all over the jungle until it was finally captured in a flood caused by Fred and the girls. The Jaguaro was actually an Aussie named Barney who was mining for diamonds in the Amazon, hiding his true intentions by claiming to make a film about the headhunters. He was also aided by Luis, one of the pilots of the plane Scooby and his friends were on. Number 2. The Gator Ghoul, aka Alice Dovely.
The reason the Scaly Spook is on the list is because it was the gang's very first case with Scooby's cousin Scooby-Dum. Dum 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 dum! You called? Scooby-Dooby-Dum! Scooby-Dooby-Doo! The Gator Ghoul haunt the showboat Scooby-Dum's owner's Mom Pa Skillet were using as a restaurant when Scooby in the game came to visit his cousin. After trapping his walking suitcase in some funky fritter batter, the gang revealed that the Gator Ghoul was Alice Dovely, the Skillet's receptionist and bookkeeper, who was fired from her job as secretary to the president of Coca-Cola. When she learned that her old boss was planning to buy the Skillet's Finoki formula, she dressed up as the Gator Ghoul to ruin their business so she could buy their formula and sell it back to her old boss, or a fortune is payback for firing her. It would have been mine if it hadn't been for you nosy kids!
Before we unmask our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
The Ghost of Captain Cutler, aka Captain Cutler himself. The Miner 49er, aka Hank. The Tar Monster, aka Mr. Stoner. The Skeleton Men, aka Dr. Grimsley and his henchmen. Mamba Wamba, aka Roger.
And our number 1 pick, the Black Knight, aka Mr. Wibbles.
Was there ever any doubt? Who better to take the number 1 spot than the very monster that launched Scooby's legendary career? A fact overlooked by many fans. Mr. Wibbles was the mastermind behind an art swindling scheme, swapping fake pieces of art he made in a secret room behind the mummy cases for the real ones in the museum. However, when he learned that Professor Hyde White was bringing the armor of the Black Knight to the museum, most likely as a donation, Wibbles realized that his whole plan was in jeopardy because the professor was the only one who could identify his duplicates. So he somehow managed to get into the armor down the train station without being seen, and on the way to the museum, made the professor disappear. He even dreamt up the legend of the full moon bringing the armor to life of the professor's disappearance. But when Scooby and company started snooping around, he became the Black Knight once more to try and scare him away, only to be knocked down by a runaway plane piloted by Shaggy and Scooby.
Do you agree with that, peeps? Who's your favorite Scooby Doo villain? Let us know in the comments below.
Like until the next video, see you next time. Scooby-Dooby-Doo!